All right, can you see the slide?
Yes, doctor.
All right, yeah. So today we are going to look at time value of money. So it's one of the important topics in financial management. Money is the concept that identical sum in the future due to its potential earning capacity. So what it means is that if you have 100 USD today, you can buy more things. If you keep the $100 for 5 years or for 1 year, at the end of 1 year or 5 years, what you can buy with the money will have reduced. And one of the reasons is because of inflation. So that is the reason why we have the concept of time value of money. So we need to compare the value of the money today and the value of the money in the future. So you are expected to understand the future value of money, how to calculate the present value, how to calculate annuities, and also how to calculate rates of return. So all these can be done using a financial calculator. It can also be done using other method, but financial calculator is more convenient. So you will see later. So it is important to know how to draw the timeline. So this timeline, it helps you to have a sketch before you start to use your financial calculator. It's good to have a sketch of the question. So when you read the question, you try to draw this timeline and fill in the figures. So it helps you to know what you are looking for. So there is need to understand how this timeline, what it means. For example, CF0 means cash flow in time 0. CF1 means time flow, cash flow in time 1. CF2 means cash flow in time 2. And CF3 means cash flow in year 3. It is also important to know that this tick has meaning. This tick, it means that the cash flow occur at the end of year 0, at the end of year 1, cash flow occur at the end of year 2, cash flow occur at the end of year 3. Very important. Tick mark occur at the end of period. So time 0 is today, time 1 is the end of first period or the beginning of the second period. So if it is the end of year 1, it becomes the beginning of year 2. If it is the end of year 2, it becomes beginning of year 3. If it is the end of year 3, it becomes the beginning of year 4. So important to know this. Now, there are different types of timelines. Now, if you look at these two, you will see that they are different. So what's the difference? You can see that in the first one, for the lump sum, you can see that the 100 appears at the end of the second year. But if you look at the second one, you can see that we have equal amount of cash flow in time 1, in time 2, in time 3. Now, the difference is that in the first one, we are using lump sum. So if the question asks you to find a lump sum or to find future value of a lump sum, you draw this timeline. It can be 2 years, it can be 3 years, it can be 5 years. So what this means is that you put the money at once and expected to receive return, maybe at the end of 2 years. But in the case of the second one, what it means is that you put the money every year, not everything at once. So at the end of year 1, you put 100 ringgit. At the end of year 2, you put 100 ringgit. At the end of year 3, you put 100 ringgit or $100. Now, this is the third type of cash flow. Now, if you look at this third type of cash flow, you can see that it is different. Why? Because the cash flow is different every year. You can see at the end of year 1, the cash flow is 100. At the end of year 2, the cash flow is 75. At the end of year 3, the cash flow is 50. So what this means is that the cash flow is not even. We call it uneven cash flow. Uneven cash flow. Now, this type of cash flow pattern is a bit complicated to solve, but later on, I will show you how to do this in one of the topics in this course. But we'll be focusing more on this annuity, and sometimes we'll also be solving problem regarding lump sum. Okay, let me emphasize here. With this type of question, you cannot use your annuity. You cannot use this for approach, even though it's every year. But this one is unique because it is equal amount. So because it is equal amount, it is easier to use our financial calculator to solve this problem because it is the same amount of money every year. Unlike this type, you can see the amount is different. So this one, you have to do it one by one. You cannot solve it at once. Using financial calculator, you do it one by one. So let's try to see how to solve this problem using our calculator. This time around, our ordinary calculator. After year one, okay, supposing you have this question, what is the future value of an initial $100 after 3 years if interest per year is 10%? So in this question, our initial amount is $100. That is why our future value, we are looking for it, is not known. Then after 3 years, so you can draw the timeline. So from the timeline, we know that our initial times 0, this is $100 at times 0. The interest per year is 10%. And we know it's a lump sum because we are depositing $100 for 3 years. It's not annuity. So we are looking for the future value after 3 years. So we can solve this problem using our calculator, ordinary calculator. Using this formula, future value at the end of year one equals to present value multiplied by 1 plus I. So from what we have here, our I is 10%. Our initial amount at time 0 is 100. So 100 times 1 plus 10%. So you have 1.10. So at the end of year one, your money has grown to 110. You can see at time 0, today is $100. After year one, you already have interest. That is why you have 110.00. After 2 years, we can apply the same procedure. Future value after 2 years equals to present value multiplied by 1 plus I raised to power 2, which is equals to $100 today multiplied by 1 plus 10%, which is 1.10 raised to power 2, which is equals to 121.00. So after 3 years, we can do the same. So from this procedure, we can generalize that after n years, future value for n number of years will be equals to present value today, 1 plus I raised to power n. So whenever you are given a question and n is 1,000, no need to do it one by one up to 1,000. You can just apply this formula. So you just change the n raised to the power of 1,000. You always get your answer. Now you can see that if we solve this one by one, it takes us time before we arrive at this value. So what if we do it using financial calculator? Can you see? The answer is 133.10. We do it manually, we still get the same. Can you see the same answer? So which one is better, to solve manually or to use your calculator? You can see, so the calculator saves you a lot of time. So all you need to do is to know what to press and you will get the same answer. So using the financial calculator, you first of all, I will show you later, you press 3, you press N, you press 10, then you press 1 slash Y over R, then you press 100, then you press plus or minus button, then you press PV. Then this one, no need to use it because we are not using annuity. So PMT is for the annuity section, but now we are not using annuity. So you can ignore it. Then you press CPT. It's already in one of the buttons in your calculator, and you press future value, and you can get your answer. So I will stop here and try to show you how to, I will refer you to the manual on how to use the calculator now. So let me stop it for a while. All right, so it is important to understand how this, so if you look at this manual, it has HP, 10B, and some of you, you have this financial calculator. Those of you that have this, the manual, but how to do it also is in this manual. But to have detail, we'll be focusing on Texas Instrument BA 2+. So first and foremost, before you use the calculator, financial calculator, you have to take into consideration all these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. Most calculator errors in the introductory finance course are the result of inappropriate settings. Before beginning a calculation, you should ask yourself the following question. Did I clear the financial register? So it's always important to clear the financial register, because if you don't clear the register, it is already stored the previous calculation. So it will affect the next calculation. So every calculation that you do, before you start a new calculation, you have to clear the register. Second, is the compounding frequency set to once per period? This one is very important. By default, the compounding period is set to 1. But if you already alter the setting, it will give you the wrong answer. So there is a steps you can follow to change the compounding frequency to 1 per year. Is the calculator in the end mode? Very important. So by default, the financial calculator is in the end mode, but you can also change it to beginning mode. Now, when you change to beginning mode, it will give you a wrong answer. So when you are doing the calculation, always ensure that the calculator is in the end mode. Then your answer will be right. And the fourth thing you need to consider, did I enter negative numbers using the plus minus? Very, very important. There are times you need to use this plus minus. So this plus minus button, if you look at your financial calculator, check the last button, the last row, and the last button. In your BA2 plus, you will see plus minus sign. So this plus minus sign is very important, especially if you want to put minus after 100 or after any figure. You want to put minus, you have to press this, very important. If you press ordinary minus, it will not show. So you have to press plus minus sign to have minus beside any value. All right, so another important thing you need to consider, clearing the register. Remember we said it is important to clear the register, very, very important. So how do we clear the register? To clear the register, if you are using all calculators have areas of memory called registers, where variables and intermediate results are stored. There are 2 sets of financial registers, the time value of money registers and the cash flow registers. This must be cleared before beginning a new calculation, very important. On the card HP 10B, if you want to use this calculator, you have to press this button. You look for the button on your calculator. That is, if you are using the HP 10B, then you clear all, you look for the icon, clear all. So both the time value of money and the CF registers will be cleared. Now, very important, look at this. To clear the time value of money register on the BA2 plus, the one that I recommended for you to buy, you need to press second function. So second function, if you take your calculator now, financial calculator, look at the second row. Look at the second row, you will see yellow button. Can you see the yellow button?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. The second function. So second row, that's second function. Then you clear time value of money. Now, clear time value of money, go to the third row. Third row, you will see under the FV. Look inside, you will see clear. Can you see it? Clear time value of money, written in yellow. Can you see it? Third row. Third row, then you see FV. Then you look at the inside. You will see something written with yellow. CLR, clear TVM. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So whenever you press the second function and you press the FV, you're actually pressing the clear TVM. So you need to do this every time you want to start a new calculation. Let's say you already calculate for one question, then you want to go to question 2. You have to press this first and clear the one you did before you do the new one. Very, very important. So alternatively, you can also press second function, CLR work. This will clear the cash flow. So now we are not using this for now. Later on, we'll use this when we get to maybe lecture 10 or lecture 11. But for now, we'll be using this second function, clear time value of money. Very important. Another important thing, very, very important, is this compounding frequency. Now, if this compounding frequency is wrong, it will give you a wrong answer. You will still get some answer, but the answer will be wrong. So both the HP 10B and the BA2 plus are hardwired to assume monthly compounding. So by default, when you buy the calculator new and you have not touched it or operated it, it comes with monthly compounding. That is, compounding is done 12 times in a year, every month from month 1 to month 12. Because very few problems in the introductory finance course make this assumption, you should change, very important, you should change this default setting to 1 per period. So on the HP 10B, to check, you have to press 1, you look for this button, then you press P per year. It will tell you whether you have 12 or you have 1. So if you have 12 there, you have to change it to 1. To verify that the default has been changed, you press this button again in your HP 10B calculator, key, then press and briefly hold the input key. Then it will show you whether it is 12 or it is 1. And if you want to change it, you follow this process. But very importantly, if you want to check the compounding frequency in the BA2 plus, the one that we are using now, you can specify both payment frequency and compounding frequency, although they should normally be set to the same number. Okay, to set both to once per period, press the key sequence. You press second function, you already know where it is. You press P, payment per year. So payment per year, if you look at the third row, can you see the third row? Then you will see the third row, the second button. Third row, second button, look inside where it is written P divided by Y. Can you see? Can you see P/Y? Third row, second button. After N, you will see 1/Y. Then if you look inside the yellow written words, you will see P/Y. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right, so we press second function, P/Y. Then you press down arrow. Okay, P/Y. Then you press 1. After you press second function, P/Y, you press 1. Then you press enter. Then after that, you press the down arrow. The down arrow, you will see it in the first row. Look at the first row. You will see 2 arrows. One arrow is going up, another arrow is going down. So you press the down arrow. Then you press 1. You key in 1, then you press enter. So if you have done this, you have succeeded in changing the compounding period to 1. So now go to your calculator now, try to follow this process and see whether you can do it. Press second function, press P/Y, then see what you find inside. Do you find 12 or do you find 1? Second function.
1.
So in my case now, I found 1. When I press second function, I press P/Y, it shows me that my P/Y equals to 1. So what do you have in your own case?
1.
All right, so it is 1. So it means that it has been, it is correct. It is correct. So if it is not 1, then you have to change it to 1. You have to change it to 1. All right, so that is very important. Then it's also important to take note of this end mode and annuity due. So in most problems, payment is made at the end of the period. If you remember when I was trying to explain to you in the first few slides, I was trying to tell you that the tick shows payment is made at the end of the year. So in most problems, payment is made at the end of a period, and this is the default setting, end mode. So I told you that it is important to leave it in end mode for both the HP 10B and the BA2 plus. But a time will come later on, I will show you how to change from the end mode to the beginning mode. But for most of the problems, we'll be using the end mode. We'll be using the end mode. Okay, I think this information is enough for now. So if you want to change from the end mode to beginning mode, this is the procedure. But for now, we will not go into this. I will let you know later why we shouldn't go into this, because it can be confusing later. There are other ways to do it. So let's continue with our lecture. Okay, now we are going to solve this problem now. Now, go to your calculator now, press second function, press clear time value of money. Press second function, press clear time value of money. Then you start to key in the value. You start by keying in, press 3. First of all, you press 3, then you press N. Look for N button. N button is in the third row. You press N. It will show you N equals to 3. Can you see N equals to 3?
Yes.
All right. Then you go to the next step. You press 10. 10. Then you press 1/Y. The third row, second button, 1/Y after N. It will show you 1 per year, interest per year equals to 10. So can you see it? Interest per year equals to 10. Then you press,
Yes.
yeah, then you go to 100. Now this one is very important. Don't rush. You press 100. Now, because this minus sign, the only way you can have it is to press plus minus. Go to the last row. The last row, you will see plus minus button. So you press it, it will show minus 100. So can you get minus 100?
Yes.
All right, so very important. So take note of that. If you want to get minus, that's how you do it. Then you press PV. PV, third row, the last button in the third, no, sorry, the third button, third row and the third button. You press PV. So PV equals to minus 100. So can you find the PV?
Yes.
All right. So this one, because it is 0, what it means is that we may not do anything with it, because anything 0, it will not show anything. So if you want to press 0, PMT also no problem, but usually no need to press this because it is 0. So you ignore this. Then very important, we have to press ours, because this is what we want to get. We want to get the future value. Solve for future value. So you have to press CPT. CPT means compute. Can you see the first button, first row? First row, first button. Can you see it? CPT.
Yes.
All right, so you press CPT, then you press future value. Future value is the last button in the third row. CPT, future value. So can you get 133.10?
Yes.
All right, so take note of these steps. So these steps, you'll be using it to solve for any of these questions. Sometimes you'll be asked to find the PV, sometimes you'll be asked to find the interest per year, sometimes you'll be asked to find N. So you can see that it's very easy once you know how to use the calculator. Okay, so let's see another question. So if you are finding the future value, the CPT will come before you press the future value. So let's go to another question. Okay, what is the present value of $100 due in 3 years if interest per year equals to 10%? So we've already solved the problem of future value. So now I want to solve the problem of present value. So present value means today. Today, now. Look at the timeline. You can see the timeline. For the present value of the lump sum, you can see that this is at the end of third year. So we want to know what is the present value of this amount today. So you can see where the PV is. So we are finding PV. Unlike, let me show you the other one for the future value. So you can see the difference. Okay, you can see that for the future value, oh, the timeline is not here. Let me see. Okay, you can see for the future value, you can see where it is. We are finding future value of this amount today. This is the present value. We want to know the future value. So the future value, usually it will be more than the present value. So we have already done this. We've already done this. But in this case now, we want to find the present value of this future value. That is why it changes from here to here. So we are finding PV. So we can also solve this problem manually using ordinary calculator. Now, look at this formula. You can still remember this formula, the future value formula. We can make PV subject of the formula. So if we rearrange this equation, we'll arrive at PV equals to future value of N divided by 1 plus I over N. So we have made PV subject of the formula. So the PV in this question will now be $100 divided by 1 plus 10% raised to power 3. So we get 75.13. You can see we already have $100. We already have 3 years. We already have interest per year. So we just key in the information. You can see that the p-value is smaller. So what it means is that this 100 value in the future, the present value of this $100 is 75. Now, if I ask you, will you prefer to collect 75 today, or you want to wait till 3 years to collect 100? Even though the 100 looks big in terms of numbers, you may be surprised that the 75 today can buy you more things today. Because after 3 years, maybe inflation will have reduced or will have increased the prices of products. So when you take this $100 to the market, you will only buy few things. It happens in Malaysia also. There was a time in Malaysia you can buy food for just 3 ringgit. But now you have to pay 7 ringgit, 6 ringgit. If you want to buy drinks, you have to spend like 10 ringgit. But there was a time with just 3, 4 ringgit, you can have a drink, you can also have. So you can see that the prices has gone up. So this is the advantages of having the timeline. So we can compare the future amount and the present amount. So as a finance person, I would prefer to collect 75 today because I can spend the money now. I can buy more things than waiting for 3 years and only get 100. Now we can solve this using financial calculator. Just like the way we did for the future value, we can also find the present value. So you follow the same process. Now, before you start, remember I told you, now because this is the second calculation, you have to press second function first. So now you press second function, you press the FV, so you can clear time value of money. Very important, you have to do this. Second function, then you press the FV button. So which means that you're actually clearing the time value of money from the previous calculation. You are clearing the previous calculation. So now you start again, you press 3, then you press N. So you find N equals to 3. Then you press 10. Then you press 1 per year. You find 1 per year equals to 10. It will show in your calculator. Then you go to 100. You press 100. You press FV. FV, you get FV equals to 100. You can see that there is no minus here, so no need to press plus or minus. Then you come here. Before you press PV, you press CPT. So you go to CPT, you press CPT, means compute. Then you press PV. You press PV, you will get minus 75.13. So can you get this value?
Yes.
All right, so it means you are becoming an expert in using the calculator now. Now, why do we have minus here? The reason why we have minus is because by default, the financial calculator is programmed in such a way that if all the inputs is positive, the output will be negative. If one of the inputs is minus, the output will be positive. So the final answer is 75.13, not minus. Although the answer shows minus 75.13, the final answer is actually 75.13. So you ignore the minus sign. Okay, so let me show you the previous one that we calculated. You can see that in this case, one of the inputs is minus. Can you see? That is why the output is positive. If one of the input is minus, the output will be positive. If all the inputs are positive, then the output will be negative. So that's the way it works. So whenever you are calculating the future value, so the PV normally have minus to indicate that you are actually putting down the money towards your target in the future. Okay. So you can also ask to find I. Sometimes the question can ask you to find the interest per year. Solve for I. What annual interest rate will cost $100 to grow to 125.93 in 3 years? So this type of question, you need to ask yourself first, which one is the future value? Which one is the present value? So in this question now, you are not told directly which one is the present value, which one is the future value, but you can use your common sense. You know that the future value is always bigger than the present value. So we know that 125.97 is the future value. We know that $100 is the present value. And we know that our N is very easy to know. It's in years, 3 years. So we can find our interest. You can see interest per year. So you press 3, you press N. You press 100, then you press plus minus sign, then you press PV. Then you press 125.97, then you press FV. Then you come here, you press CPT, compute, then you press interest per year, then you find you get 8. So try to see whether you can get this 8. So can you get this 8? Remember to press second function, clear time value of money, very important. You must always do this before you start new calculation. You press 3, you press N, you press minus 100, you press 100, you press plus minus, then you press PV, then you press 125.97, then you press FV, then you press CPT, then you press interest per year. So can you get 8?
Yes.
Yes.
So if you cannot get it, you try it many times. That is why I make it part 1, part 2, so that before we go into more advanced next week, you're already familiar with the calculator, then it's easy for you to understand and appreciate the part 2 section. Okay, you can also be told to find N. So it depends. So you can see that with this calculator, you can find anything very fast without using your pen to calculate manually. Very, very straightforward. Solving for N. If sales grow at 20% per year, how long before sales double? So this question is very, they call it word problem. So if you remember in your basic STPM, there's a section in the mathematics they call word problem. So you have to use letters to indicate the known and the unknown. So from this question, we are not told what is present value. We are not told what is future value, but we can deduce. So if sales grow at 20% per year, how long before sales double? So what is sale? We don't know. So we can say, let sales, for example, equals to 1. So in this case, sales is our PV. So then if sales double means must be twice 1, right? So double, so LV will be equals to 2. Alternatively, we can use what if sales equals to 2? So double will be 4. Alternatively, we can say if sales is 5, double means 10. So to make things easier, let us use sales equals to 1. Then sales double in the future will mean sales double, future value will be equals to 2. So with this knowledge, we can easily find our N. So we know that our interest per year is 20. We know that our PV, even though it's not given, but we can deduce is 1. And we also know that PMT is not given. And we know that our future value is 2. So we can easily find N. Now, if you look at this, we have to put minus here because remember, if one of the inputs is minus, the output will be positive. You cannot put minus here because interest rate cannot be minus. It's always positive. So there is no minus here. So where we can have minus is usually in the P value, present value. So it is more convenient to put the minus here. So you can see that the output here is N is 3.8. If we remove 1 here, it will show us an error or minus 3.8. It doesn't make sense. So N cannot be negative. So N will always be positive. So try to see if you can find this, if you can get this value. Remember here, there is something that is missing. Okay, it's there, CPT. CPT. So you start from here. You first of all, you press second function, yellow button, clear time value of money. First thing you do first, then you press 20, you press interest per year. Then you press 1, then you go to the plus minus button to indicate the minus, then you press present value. You can ignore this part. Then you press 2, then you press future value. Then you press CPT, then you press N, then it will give you 3.8. So I wait for you to see whether you can get 3.8. So can you get 3.8?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
You are becoming a spark now. So you can see that you can get it. So like I told you, if one of the input is minus, so the output will be positive. Minus cannot be here, cannot be in interest per year. Minus usually cannot also be in the future value. Mostly it is in this PV that we normally have minus. Okay, now we have moving to another section now. Annuity. Now this one is another type of problem. What is the difference between an ordinary annuity and an annuity due? Now take a look at these two timelines. In ordinary annuity, payment is made at the end of the year. You can see this tick means end of year 1, PMT end of year 2, PMT end of year 3. Now in the annuity due, look at the difference. PMT starts at the beginning of the year. You can see, so PMT in year 1 starts at time 0. PMT in year 2 starts at year 1. PMT in year 3 start at year 2. So what it means is that in annuity due, you are going to earn interest 3 times. You get interest in year 1, in year 2, in year 3. But for the ordinary annuity, because the payment PMT starts from year 1, so you only earn interest in 2 years, 1, 2. Whereas for the annuity due, because the beginning is where the payment starts, you will earn interest because you will have waited for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So you get more money here. But if it is ordinary annuity, because you put the money at the end of year 1, you only get interest after 2 years and 3 years. So you get interest 2 times. So annuity due is always higher than ordinary annuity by additional 1 year. So later on, you will see from the calculation. Now, look at this question. We are also solving for future value, but because it is an annuity, solve for future value of 3-year ordinary annuity of $100 at 10%. Now, you will take note that in the previous calculation, there is nothing like annuity there. But now we have added annuity. That's the reason why you can see that the PMT now we are using it. Can you see? Previously, we used to put the PMT 0. Can you see? Previously, we normally put 0 because we are not dealing with annuity.